We're good. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight to our town council meeting, Tuesday, July 9th, 2024. There was one vote taken in executive session. It was a 4-0 vote to approve the deputy chief of police employment agreement. Before we have a moment of prayer, I'd like to have a moment of silence. Aliana Ciccarelli and Suleiman Diagni, there were two young adults that were taken from us too soon, and our prayers go out to their families and friends. Thank you very much. I have a prayer. We come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us engage in meaningful discussion. Allow us to grow closer as a group and nurture the bonds of community. Amen.
Amen.
Salute to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Emergency evacuation and health notification.
Thank you, Council President. There's two main exits from the Town Council chambers. To the left of the stage, up the stairs will take you out the back of the building. On the back of the Council chambers to your right, the stairs will take you out the front of the building. Just past that on the right, men's facility. Up the stairs to the left is the ladies' facility. Please do not use the elevator in time of emergency.
Thank you. Moving on to presentations. Our first presentation is U.S. Senator Jack Reed recognition to the Balfour Coal Post number 64.
Thank you, Mr. President. We received this commendation from Senator Jack Reed to the Balfour Coal Post number 64. Mr. Mason Briggs, Commander, and Senator Reed offers his congratulations to the American Legion Balfour Coal Post 64 as it celebrates its new home for veterans in the East Smithfield Neighborhood Center conference room, which has been dedicated posthumously to the memory of Private First Class William DeMaine. The American Legion Balfour Coal Post number 64 honors the legacy of Alexander Balfour, who served in the United States Army 26th Infantry Regiment, 1st Division. PFC Balfour valiantly gave his life in service to the nation during World War I. He was deemed missing in action. He is remembered in the tablets of the missing at the Aisne-Marne American Cemetery in Belleau, France. Post, which bears PFC Balfour's name, now dedicates its new home to another Smithfield honored son, PFC William Demain, who distinguished himself in World War I and returned home to lead a full and rewarding life marked by humanitarianism and service to others. He was the first supervisor of the Esmond Welfare Club, co-founder and first president of the Balfour Post, number 64, and served the town of Smithfield as both tax collector and deputy sheriff. The Balfour Post, number 64, remains today as an important part of the cultural heritage of our Smithfield community. Its members, by word and deed, embody the mission of the American Legion to preserve the memories and incidents of comrades in all wars and to promote goodwill and mutual helpfulness among its members and throughout the community. And so tonight, we're honored to commemorate all the patriotic citizens from the town of Smithfield. And Senator Reed writes that as you celebrate your new home, he is honored to join in commemorating all of the patriotic citizens from the town of Smithfield who have so selflessly answered the call of duty. So we have two presentations tonight. One is to the Balfour Post number 64, American Legion, Mr. Mason Briggs. And our second presentation is to Mrs. Claire Dion and family, the family of Mrs. Dion's late father, Private First Class William Demain. So, Mr. Briggs and Ms. May forward.
Basically making a photograph. I make this presentation to his Demain family in honor of Private First Class William Demain.
We appreciate it.
We appreciate it.
Very well honored, you know, family is. Senator Reed didn't know. I think I want to.
There, Mason, hold up, please. Thank you, everybody. Scooch it just a little closer. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Ready, set, go. Get a little close up. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Some of the day owns I apologize, they're gonna have to leave, but good luck on all your endeavors trying to get a big agenda. Thank you for having us. Thank you, everybody.
Give him a second, right? Done. Looks good. All right. That was awesome. All right, item C, we have another presentation for the Smithfield High School golf team.
Thank you, Mr. President. In 2024, the Smithfield Sentinels golf team are congratulated for winning Division II High School Golf State Championship. Coach Jimmy Peretti and John Rinaldi. Congratulations.
All right, moving on to minutes. Move that the minutes of the June 18th, 2024 executive session meeting held pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws, Section 42-46-5A2, potential litigation, and Section 42-46-5A1, personnel to interview Christopher Kaplinger, Michael Moen, and Angelica Bovis for possible appointment or reappointment to a town board or commission be approved as recorded and sealed.
Move passage.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item B, move that the minutes of the June 18th, 2024 open session meeting be approved as recorded.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Consider, discuss, and act upon the following possible appointments and reappointments. We have two for the planning board with terms expiring in May of 2027.
Mr. President, I move that the Smithfield Town Council reappoint Michael Moen to the Planning Board with a term expiring in May of 2027.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we have another appointment for the planning board.
Mr. President, I move that the Smithfield Town Council reappoint Angelica Bovis to the Planning Board with a term expiring in May of 2027.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Item B, a Economic Development Commission appointment with a term expiring in March of 2027.
Mr. President, I move that the Smithfield Town Council appoint Christopher Kaplinger to the Economic Development Commission with a term expiring in March of 2027.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to public hearings, conduct a public hearing to consider, discuss, and act upon approving a new Class C beverage license for RIFC OZ LLC, DBA Rhode Island FC, 1150 Douglas Pike, as applied, subject to compliance with all state regulations, local ordinances, certificate of good standing from the Rhode Island Division of Taxation, and business registration. This public hearing's open. If anyone from the public would like to speak, just state your name and address, please.
Good evening, council members. I'm attorney for the applicant, RIFC OZ LLC, Attorney Dane Ardente for the record. This is just a reclassification of the license from an F to C license. The C license is permitted under Rhode Island General Laws 37-8. The Class C, the reason why they're doing this is because the Class C would allow to operate year-round under the original scope of the proposal, whereas the Class F, it was discovered, would be limited to 12 events per year. So it's just merely a reclassification.
Thank you. Is everything in order?
Everything that you see is going to be happening.
Dad, I'd have a question. Could you come up?
Yes.
Yeah, could you explain the reason for the change?
The reason for the change is because the Class F license would limit all allowances of serving beverages to 12, alcoholic beverages to 12 events per year. Class F would allow it year-round. So it's not limited by event.
So you'd be prohibited from more than 12 events under the old license?
Yes, correct.
And you use, do you ever use, you're at Bryant University, obviously. Do you ever use their license? Do they have a license?
We do not. They have a license that we are not agreed to use as part of our
It's
contract with them.
not
So
part of your
we
contract?
Provide our own coverage, yes.
Right. Okay, any other questions?
Can you explain to us what the setup looks like as far as how they're selling it?
Sure. So we partner with Rhode Island School of Mixology. They provide tip-certified bar staff that service all of our fans with alcoholic beverage requests. We have 6 portable bar stations that serve beer and wine, as well as 1 beer garden that serves beer and wine. We do also have pre-mixed canned cocktails. So there's no free pouring at all, and everybody that's serving is tip certified by the state. And Rhode Island School of Mixology is actually a certified tip certifier. So the only other thing of note is that we follow all state mandated rules for IDing and monitoring consumption and all of those things.
How many events?
So we've hosted 7 so far. Excuse me, our season lasts 17. So if we do make the playoffs, which we're close, we'll go up to 21.
Oh, I see.
But no matter what, our season would end by mid-November.
Okay. Thank you.
Excellent.
This question is for the clerk. Do we have a limited number of these licenses, or we can?
To my knowledge, under the ordinance, there is no cap on it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public would like to speak on this matter? I will close up, yes.
Good evening. My name is Kathleen Dudemain, not Demain. And I represent the property at 1162 Douglas Pike, and we would just like to object to any kind of broadening or expansion of any more alcohol at this time, or any other really, being by Bryant and so forth.
Have there been problems at that? Have there been problems caused by?
There will be.
Yes.
We anticipate that there will be. I taught at Bryant
Excuse me,
at one
ma'am,
point.
could you please come up to the microphone so we can hear you on the TV?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No problem, thank you.
It's my anticipation that there will be problems. I taught at Bryant some time ago when a student was run down by a drunk driver and killed and left at the side of the road. And so I am just, for the record, I would like to make my objections for any kind of broadening of any kind of alcohol by anybody at the entrance to Bryant.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, Chief St. Cyr, Smithfield Police. I actually didn't realize RIFC was on the agenda tonight. I was more concerned with my own agenda items, so not until I got here did I realize that this was on the agenda. That being said, I just want to point out that since day one, the police department has had an excellent relationship with RIFC. From what I've observed personally, they're a very detail-oriented professional organization, and there have been 0 significant alcohol-related events. So from a public safety perspective, I have no concerns with this license being issued.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will close the public hearing.
Move passage.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item 9A, licenses. Consider, discuss, and act upon approving a one-day beer wine license for Revive the Roots as follows. 2024 Donor Gala to be held on Saturday, August 3rd, 2024, from 4:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. The party will take place at the Revive the Roots, 10 Old Forge Road, from 4:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. as applied, subject to all state regulations and local ordinances. Hi.
Hi, and I just want to make one correction. The
Say your name
address.
and address.
Oh,
Sorry.
my apologies. Hannah Martin, 10 Old Forge Road. The event will actually take place at our pavilion at 374 Farnham Pike.
Who's that?
So that's,
Okay,
yeah, that's where the community gardens are located and the greenhouse.
excellent. Okay. Did you get that, Lynn? All right, perfect.
Move passage.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item B, consider, discuss, and act upon approving a new holiday license for Max Convenience Mart, LLC, DBA Max Convenient Mart, 200 Pleasant View Avenue, Unit 3, as applied, subject compliance with all state regulations, local ordinances, and a copy of the retail sales permit.
Move passage.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item C, consider, discuss, and act upon approving a new victualling-only license for Max Convenience Mart LLC, DBA Max Convenience Mart, 200 Pleasant View Ave, Unit 3, as applied, subject to compliance with all state regulations, local ordinances, a copy of retail sales permit, and final approval from the Rhode Island Department of Health.
Move passage.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item D, consider, discuss, and act upon approving a new mobile food truck license for Coronado LLC, DBA California Taco Food Truck, to sell tacos, nachos, burritos, and tortas from a truck with a Rhode Island Reg 1QB943, 616 Lewis Farm Road, Green, Rhode Island, as applied, subject to compliance with all state regulations, local ordinances, and a copy of a retail sales permit.
Move passage.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Old business, there is none. Moving on to new business. A, consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing a memorandum of understanding between the Smithfield Police Department and the Rhode Island Department of Public Safety for a statewide computer-aided dispatch and records management system.
Good evening again, Chief St. Sever, Smithfield Police. If you vote to approve this, you have my word that I won't ask this council for anything ever again.
Move passage.
Does that include tonight?
Not including tonight. So the Smithfield Police Department and all but 2 agencies in Rhode Island utilize what's called IMC records management and dispatch software. We've been using the IMC since approximately 1997. So in its day, IMC was state-of-the-art, I guess you could say, and over the years, it's made many upgrades. But for a couple of years, the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association and the Rhode Island Department of Public Safety have been pushing to move for a better statewide records management and dispatch software. The agencies in Rhode Island are increasingly frustrated with IMC. They have not been very responsive to service requests. The system requires server backup. It's not cloud-based. And the cost continues to rise as essentially IMC has Rhode Island law enforcement backed into a corner. Right now, they're the only game in town. Rhode Island Department of Public Safety went out to bid in search of a new software package. Greg Catlow, who is our retired detective commander and is now my IT guy, he was part of the bid evaluation process for the state, and CSI Tech Group was selected. Since then, the Smithfield Police Department's been selected to be part of Phase 1 of the introduction of this software to Rhode Island law enforcement. So said another way, we've been asked to be one of a few test agencies at no cost to us. A condition of being a test agency is the signed MOU, which is on the agenda this evening. So I would ask that the council allow us to sign that MOU.
Thank you.
You said there's no cost, but it says on page 5, section 6.3, that the Smithfield Police Department is responsible for the following contributions to the records management system account. $51,902 on July 1st of 2025, and then $51,000 for the 3 following years.
So to clarify, there's no cost to us to be part of the Phase 1 test period for 1 year. After that, there will be a cost for this software to the tune of the figures that you see on page 5.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Was that in the budget?
It
For
didn't-
25?
It did not have to be in the budget yet.
Oh.
This fiscal year will be no cost. Chief Dolan will have to budget for it for next year.
Oh, I see, gotcha, thank you.
Thank you.
Move passage.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Chief. Item B, consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing a bid award to furnish and replace a defogger unit at the Smithfield Ice Rink.
For the record, TJ Tully, the ice rink director for the town of Smithfield. Mr. President, members of the council, I can attest to the fact that we definitely need this piece of equipment this week. It's pretty foggy in the rink, so. There was one question in regards to this project at the May 7th town council meeting. This was originally in our 5-year capital improvement plan at the rink. So this would take the place of that. It was scheduled in for 2027. Obviously, we're going to accomplish this goal hopefully tonight with approval, and would take that out of the CIP at that time. So we received 2 bids, one from North Star Refrigeration and one from Next Gen. Both bids came in actually under the original quoted project that I received from a vendor. So with that, the town, myself and the purchasing agent chose North Star Refrigeration, who had the lowest bid at $52,240.
It says here that funding is budgeted for and approved in the fiscal year 2023 capital budget. So that was 2 years ago.
Yes.
So did that just, that funding just
We maintain the funding throughout.
stay there?
It rolls over.
Rolled over.
Capital has a 3-year tail on it after the year of appropriation. So, and especially to us, there's that added flexibility with it being funded in the prior year with the ice rink. So it just retains in there in reserve capital funds.
Move passage.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Item C, consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing the town manager to enter into a contract through Rhode Island Master Price Agreement number 584 with Beta Group of Lincoln, Rhode Island for the Hillview-Hilldale feasibility study in the amount not to exceed $140,980.00.
Good evening, Gene Allen, Director of Public Works. As you're aware, we've had a couple of meetings with the residents in the area. We've completed a watershed study that basically identified the volume of water that we had to contend with versus the volume or the capacity existing drainage system. This is the next phase of that, which is a feasibility study. The feasibility study will be looking at the alternatives and the options available to rectify the problem there. There are several different options that we could consider. We want to make sure that we spend our money wisely. So the feasibility study will take several of these options and basically bring them up to about 30% design. During that process, we may come across a few smaller portions that we might be able to do in-house to make temporary fixes will help it a little bit. But ultimately, this is going to be a larger project. It's going to require much more engineering and also a construction contract. Hopefully, at the end of this, we'll have a better understanding of what the design is going to be, what the options as far as what is actually permittable, because we're going to have to go in front of the DEM. There's going to be several culverts that we're going to have to take a look at, in addition to working to take the existing river that was put through a drainage system that was too small and possibly putting that into a drainage system that can handle it. So there's going to be a lot of permitting that's required. We want to make sure that those permits are going to be able to be issued, and they're not going to be spending money down a road that's not going to come to fruition.
Is there another study that has to be done after this, or is this the last part before we actually start?
Yeah, so at the end of this
building?
study, we'll have a better understanding of the costs and the options available to us, and at that point, we'll make a decision. We'll probably meet with the residents again. We'll have a conversation, decide what is the best option and what would qualify potentially for grants and additional funding elsewhere to help us resolve the problem. But I would say that the next phase of this will be to pick, whether it be in one phase of construction or possibly 2 or 3 phases, to move forward with an actual design that we would go out to bid.
Right, and potentially there are things that can be done by the Public Works Department to help out the situation in the end, because this is a long-term project, right? And-
Most likely, yes.
And so, residents would still be getting water, and, there's nothing, very few things more miserable than having water coming into your basement, so.
This is true. I mean, if there are,
Are there things we could do in the interim, once we get this, this will take 6 months?
This will take about 6 months. And during that process, they're going to be looking at the hydraulics, they're going to be looking at potential improvements. If you look at the existing drainage system up there, there are actually some right turns for the drainage system that it just, because of the restrictions, it slows it right down. So we might be able to install a couple of additional manholes to make it like a 45-degree turn to help the flow of water go through quicker.
What's the time frame on that?
This study will take about 6 months.
6 months?
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely needed,
Yes, it is.
so.
And our funding for this, would you comment on that?
Yes, thank you, Councilman. There's funding that's in their drainage account in the operating for DPW. There's engineering funds available in the engineering department. The residual would be paid for the remaining engineering fees in the RUBS account. We'll fund this because, as we know, this is imminent that we get this done.
Yeah. I don't think anyone disputes that.
No, I know.
How much is in the RUBS account? RUBS.
For that specific line, I don't know off the top of my head, but it definitely will cover the balance between what's budgeted in the operating accounts. I want to say that the balance from those 2 line items would leave about $40,000, and there's probably $70,000 or $80,000 in that necessary RUB. But at least the main thing I checked was that there was funds available to cover what the total amount was.
Okay, thank you.
Move passage.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Thank you.
Item D, consider to discuss and act upon authorizing the town manager to enter into contract with the Omnia Partners Contract number 254 with Railway Pacific Company of Miami-Dade County, Florida, for the purchase of 100 65-gallon refuse and 165-gallon recycling carts in an amount not to exceed $15,567.00.
This is pretty much an annual purchase that we make. This covers any new homes that come in. It also replaces existing carts. A lot of our carts are now out of warranty, so once they start to break, they get older, as they get squeezed and picked up in, they tend to break a little bit, so this replaces those as well.
Okay.
Move passage.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item E, consider, discuss, and act upon a poll petition from Rhode Island Energy Company to install 1 new pole on Whipple Road.
I have no objections to the proposed location.
Move passage.
Where in Whipple? I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Where on Whipple?
Just as you go down into Whipple off of Route 7, you can see it on the map.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Item F, consider, discuss, and act upon a bid award for roof replacement at the Department of Public Works.
So as you know, we went out to bid previously, and the bids came in quite a bit over the available budget. We went out and changed the specification, changed some of the warranty requirements, and we have in front of you tonight a bid that we can manage. As you know, the DPW facility is a 1950s building. It needs a little bit of work. So sometimes it rains heavier inside the building than it does outside.
So the money for this Well, I saw it was in last year's capital budget.
Yes.
So you carried that over. It was 125 in last year.
125, yes.
So you have to make up the difference this year?
We'll make up the difference out of our operating budget.
Move passage.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item G, consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing the town manager to enter into a contract through Rhode Island Master Price Agreement 584 with Beta Group, Inc. of Lincoln, Rhode Island for the Parks Department GIS layer development in the amount not to exceed $15,850.00.
Thank you. As you know, we completed an audit last year that did an operations audit of the DPW and the Park and Rec Department. One of the recommendations out of that audit was to move the park maintenance to the DPW operations. We look at all the assets in town, and we have developed a GIS layer for many of them, and that allows us to assign work orders and actually track the labor and equipment time that goes towards each one. So when I come before you in the future, I can sit here and tell you this is how much time, this is how much effort it takes when I'm either justifying additional equipment or labor or budget that's in front of you, so that I have some facts to provide to you.
So just adding the parks equipment onto the,
It's not the equipment, it's the layers. So this will actually take and make polygons over all of the fields, the memorials. It identifies all the assets the town's responsible for managing, and then I can assign, work orders to those, and then I understand how long it takes to do all the particular work. It's the same way we do the pavement management, the guardrails, the street signs, all of that stuff, all of those assets are in the GIS, and we can track a lot of the work.
So this is essentially just like an organization tool, to make everything more efficient and productive, right?
Organization management tool, yes.
Yeah.
Move passage.
second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item H, consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing the town manager to enter into a contract through the Rhode Island Master Price Agreement number 563 with Hurd Auto Mall of Johnston, Rhode Island for the purchase of 2 new Chevy Silverado 5500 trucks for an amount not to exceed $164,995.86.
Thank you. These two trucks that are being replaced is a 2005 and a 2009. The 2005 currently doesn't run. The 2009, we've already replaced one body on the chassis, riding out pretty bad on that also. The cost of $164,000 is through the master price agreement. I did also check through the MHQ, Municipal Boston Police Council, and the price of the same two trucks, except being Ford F-50s, that was going to be $207,000. So the 2003, I was able to save a lot on that. It's a brand-new truck. It just hasn't been sold yet. So I was able to grab that for significant discounts. And then on the other one, I'm just buying the cab and the chassis. One of the trucks that we have now, truck 21, is an extended chassis that handles an 11-foot bed. We actually bought a new body for that 3 years ago, so we're going to transfer that over with our staff once we get the new cabin chassis.
And these are paid for over 4 years?
This is a 4-year, yes.
So we divide this number of 164,000 by 4, and that's what hits the budget every year, or something close to that?
Yes.
How many miles are on these vehicles, the old ones?
So one has 121,000, the other has like 124,000. The challenge is that back in the day when these were purchased, they did not put hour meters in. So I always like the hours. So you want to see how many hours a truck runs. A lot of these trucks have a lot of idle time, and that works on the engine. So when these trucks come in, we put hour meters and everything, so I can sit there and tell you, in most likely cases, these are close to 160, 170,000 miles. For every hour, you add basically 25 to 35 miles, depending on the heavy uses.
Thank you.
Gene, I have a question. The 2023 is 89,000, 2024 74,000. Why so much of a gap?
So the 2023, that's a regular size chassis, and I'm going to put a flatbed on that with a power lift gate on the back of it to pick heavy items up and put in the stake body that's going on the back of it. And this is also with a complete plow and plow package on both of these trucks. The 2024 is only the cab and the chassis. I'm going to be putting the body on it.
Move passage.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item I, consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing the town manager to enter into contract to the FAC 116 State of Mass contract with CN Wood Company of Johnston, Rhode Island for the purchase of one new trackless MT7 tractor with attachments in the amount not to exceed $183,793.00.
Thank you again. This is truly a piece of equipment that is designed for municipal work. It's only 4 feet wide. It has a tremendous amount of attachments that you can put on this. One of the attachments that we're putting on this is a 14-foot mower deck that will help out tremendously with the park and reduce the need for me to come in and potentially ask for additional staff in the future because we can get a lot more work done. This also will handle much heavier grass if we happen to miss certain periods of time. The existing mower can handle some of the heavier grass. Also, all the attachments that we currently have, the flail mowers, the boom mowers, the snow plows, the snow blower, the sander on the back, these will all fit on this machine. If you look at the amount of effort that we have to put into the mowing of the sides of the roads, this will help out tremendously from the public works side, as far as the highway side. One of the tractors that we use right now is a 2011 that we got when the state said they were done with it. So it's at the end of its life, and it's kind of like just limping along. Last time we had to fix that was a few years ago. We had to spend $20,000 because they had to actually split the tractor to get inside to the gears. So it only has a limited life. So this is kind of like looking at replacing that at the same time.
Do you remember how much the 2011 one cost? I was curious.
So in this, I believe it's $153,000 for the machine itself, and I believe the last one was $146,000. So it's going up a little bit, but not too
Yeah,
much.
not too much.
That's an expensive lawnmower.
It's a nice lawnmower, though. But again, it's not just for mowing lawn. It's got a 14-foot mower that you can put on it. It also will handle the 6-foot flail mower. It also handles the boom mower that goes over the guardrails and up on the slopes. We actually have a blower that goes on the front of these that are great in the wintertime, or not the winter, but in the country roads, rather than sending the sweeper out, we actually can go out with that and just blow the sand and the dirt off the side of the roads. It's great for blowing the leaves in the fall for the parks and memorials. It does a wonderful job. Like I say, it's a very, very versatile machine.
I understand it depends on the usage, but how long do they typically last? Because I know the newer things in general, this age, are generally worse quality. No, I'm not saying this is, but just in general.
No, I mean, this is a well-built machine. As with everything, it does need, maintenance. If you look at a machine like this, properly maintained, I would say it's at least 20 years.
20?
I would say so, yeah.
That's great. Thank you. Motion to approve the town manager to enter into a contract to the FAC 116 State of Massachusetts contract with CN Wood Company, Inc. of 60 Shumpike and Johnston for the purchase of one tractor in the amount of $160,000 and the purchase of MT7 tractor listed attachments in the amount of $23,303 for a total cost not to exceed $183,793.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item J, consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing the town manager to enter into contract with the Alter Equipment Company of Hooksett, New Jersey, as a sole source purchase of one new Miller Kerber MC 550 in an amount not to exceed $11,650.00.
Thank you. So this is a curb machine it's a relatively small machine, but what it does, it has molds on it and allows you to put a Cape Cod berm or a J-mold berm along the side of the road to help keep the water contained within the roadway. We've always done it pretty much by hand, and it doesn't always look that great, and it doesn't necessarily last as long. So this will give us a little bit more of a professional appearance and also help us do a little bit more curb work to help maintain the water within the roadways and keep it out of residents' property.
Move passage. Do you have a question, Mike?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, you're doing them by hand now, the burns on the side of the,
Yeah.
That's why they go like
They
this.
do a good job, but they just don't last that long.
Yeah.
And you don't get as much compaction out of them when the trucks drive over them for deliveries or whatever. They tend to compact.
Have you received more berm requests this year due to the rain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be an
I
understatement.
figured.
Yes. I've had requests to keep the water out of the road with berms, too.
Move passage.
second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item K, consider, discuss, and act upon adopting a resolution to purchase 2 new Chevy Silverado 5500 trucks, 1 new trackless MT7 tractor with attachments, and 1 new Miller Kerber MC 550 for a total cost of $350,538.86.
Motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Christmas in July.
Item M, consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing the town manager to issue, sorry. Consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing the town manager to enter into contract with the Rhode Island Master Price Agreement number 584 with Pear Corporation for engineering services for the North End Fire Station project in the amount not to exceed $15,750.00.
Good evening. Chief Seltzer, Fire Department. In the memo that I provided regarding the contract with Pear Corporation is a complete copy of the actual agreement, and this is for a combination of site, civil, and traffic engineering work that needs to be done regarding the property. We're looking at a 341 George Washington Highway.
Move passage.
Yeah, I have some questions about this. Why are we doing the engineering now when we don't really have a, a project that's been developed as far as there's no agreement with the seller of the property or leaser of the property, depending on how we're going to do it. And there's no financing plan yet. I mean, we're at the early stages of this, so why would we, want to spend money on engineering services at this point?
I'll take it. If I get it wrong, you can. So it's really to get to the bottom figure, to make sure that we're able to stay within the budget that we've been talking about. This is going to design and evaluate the ability to exit the property before we go too far. So there's a lot of pieces to this that really is our due diligence on top of it, besides between the cost, to make sure we stay within the dollars, and also to make sure that we can make that exit work properly for us at that location, mainly where the peak of the hill is and so forth, which we're almost 99% sure it will, but this is to actually engineer it and so forth.
So there is a steep hill there now, so is that going to be alleviated somehow, or is there a different exit, or how is that going to be fixed?
So the potential design would be putting a new driveway right next to the Sure Stay, abutting that, which will be right at the crest, which will allow visualization on both sides of the hill, as well as the potential design of the new station will be at an elevated spot where the bays will be, so the vehicles will have a minimal climb out, and then onto the roadway, either right or left. So there's a couple phases in, but this is a crucial piece to be able to get us to the next part, to make sure that we can stay within that number that we're discussing, as well as to make sure it's feasible.
So is what we're saying here that we need this engineering report to move forward with a purchase and sales and all other agreements and to, to get a budget for this whole project.
Correct. So a lot of the discussion that's going on with the next item is amending the motion that I provided to the council tonight, which is really just to award the actual bid and give a letter of intent to the property owner to give him the flexibility about his leases and so forth, not enter into a purchase and sales agreement as of yet. Do our due diligence to make sure all of these pieces work, develop the financing plan and the budget, make sure everything's aligned, and then we will come back, to have that discussion at that time.
This engineering services, did this go out to bid?
No, we selected them off through the recommendation of our town engineer and through the state MPA, and I met with them on site prior to us selecting them to review the entire project with them and with the property owner as well, so we all knew what was involved with it. And they've done work for the town before. The town engineer was very pleased with their work, and they cover both the traffic engineering and civil engineering, so they do the whole package.
What other situations have we not gone out for an RFP? And what's the reason? I mean, I understand that it seems like, they would do a good job and whatnot, but it seems like all other times we'd go out for an RFP.
And the difficulty is engineering and architectural services, I can't get all the words out of my mouth today, I'm sorry, are required to be actually an RFQ. So they've already completed the qualifications and it's not legal to actually go for an RFP on engineering or architectural services because of the nature of what it is. So the process would be based on the pricing, which has already been evaluated and negotiated by the state. This gives us the flexibility to lock that in at the best possible rate, as well as that it's completed the process to allow us to continue to move through our process at the same time. And we've done this, as you saw with the other items with the Beta Group for their services, who's another engineering firm. So this has been a common practice for these types of services.
And it says in this agreement for the period of service, the scope of services is anticipated to be complete by July 2024. So basically, this will be done by July 31st?
No, this was based upon the original agreement that we were going to have presented sooner. It won't be done this month. They are actually working on it for us already. They just said they would start looking at it, and if whatever the council decides, fine, but I anticipate it's going to move into August.
I'm sorry, Chief, you
I
said August?
anticipate it's going to move into August, right? By the time everything's finalized. Everything that they come up with, the property owner that's going to do the renovation has to do as part of the project. So there's usually probably going to be some additional lighting involved, drainage involved, and the way the new exit is going to be set up is going to require certain types of asphalt pavement and curbing and that kind of stuff. So their engineering will provide the property owner with the work that has to be done. It's the same thing we did when we designed the fire station and we went out to bid. The architect worked with a civil engineer to put everything together. Then we went out to bid, and obviously, the result of that was extremely high when we first started this whole project with our property.
What's the source of funds for this? Would it be the grant, or I know we got a grant. We got $1 million grant for this project. Right?
Correct, and we also have the authorization on the borrowing as well. So there's the $1 million was set specifically for the purchase or construction of the fire station, so we couldn't use that. It would be the authorization that the voters approved would be the funding source of it.
You mean the bonds?
Potential bond or potential lease, or everything would just be rolled into satisfying that, as well as also the potential profit from the sale of the other land. So there's multiple revenue sources, and depending on what we lay out, but the cost factors are the big thing so that we can do the next phase.
Okay. They're a traffic engineer, right?
Yes.
Not a civil engineer?
So they do site, civil, and traffic engineering.
Okay.
So they have different, it's just not one person, they're different divisions within the Pear Corporation. And I've had the opportunity, I've spoken to all of them. We had a big video meeting to discuss the whole project, and each one of them was involved with the meeting, so they're well aware of the project.
Okay, thank you.
A motion on the floor, Mr. President.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item M, consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing the town manager to issue a letter of intent for a bid award and enter into a purchase and sales agreement for the purchase of real property, existing structure for a new fire station, subject to review by the town solicitor.
Council President, before I hand it over to the chief, bless you. That's not why I stopped. But so there has been some discussions about this to make sure that we have all the pieces in line. And one of those pieces, of course, we just had on the last agenda item. So in front of the council, as well as an amended motion concerning this item to make sure that the only action the council is taking this evening is to authorize the issuance of a letter of intent and award the bid for the purchase of the new and existing real property for the fire station. And then further being that the final approval of the new fire station project shall be considered by the town council upon the submission of a detailed agreement with Mr. Graham and a detailed financial plan for the project. But I will hand it over to the chief to tell you a little bit more about the project.
So as I put in my memo, when this first went out to bid, the only receipt we got of a proposal we got back for a property potentially to be renovated was the property at 341 George Washington Highway. And we worked with the property owner for several months actually to come up with the design that was in your packet that showed the elevation drawings and the floor plans of the building. And we went through a lot of different potential ways to use the property. And I think we came up with a very good final layout because it gets us right next to the main roadway. We can get out of the station right away. We're on the road, so that was very important. And the other thing regarding the whole project, seeing as how we had the bond of 4.5 and we got $1 million grant from the state, we're actually going to be where we expected to be when this whole thing started 6 years ago, around that 4.5 to $5 million price tag for the whole project. So I never thought we would get there based upon construction costs, but the other nice thing about this property is that for future expansion, there's extra room in the building. We're going to move fire alarm over there. We're going to move our headquarters over there. We're going to reduce the cost of renovations in the Putnam Pike Fire Station. So overall, it's actually going to reduce some of our future costs that we thought we were going to have to put into one of the other facilities. So probably not where we thought we were going to be at the beginning of this project, but in the long run, for the town, I think it's going to fit the need for that area, and it's going to be plenty of room for expansion. So that's a plus for us.
What is the plan for the Putnam Pike Station? Do we know that yet?
What's that?
Didn't you say the headquarters are moving?
Yeah, so part of this project is to move the headquarters staff over there. So depending upon how the agreement comes together and in the amount of space open in the building, we'll work that out with the property owner. But, I mean, we were looking at about a $1.5 million project on Putnam Pike based upon what we were looking at for design. And it's going to come down significantly because the biggest work that needs to be done over there is a lot of repair stuff. The building's pretty solid, but it just, it was built in 1939, and there is some work that needs to be done on it. So we'll concentrate on that and not have it to expand, and, the footprint of the building will stay exactly like it is.
Thank you.
Move passage of what, or do you want me to read it into the record?
If you don't mind, sir.
I move that Smithfield Town Council issue a letter of intent and award bid for the purchase of the new existing real property for the new fire station located at 341 George Washington Highway, Plat 48, Lot 58, to David Graham Final approval of the new fire station protected shall be considered by the town council upon the submission of detailed agreement with Mr. Graham and the detailed financial plan for the project.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item N, consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing the fire department to purchase one Stryker Power Pro T-Cot from Stryker Medical as a sole source purchase in the amount of $23,718.00.
This particular item will finish a project that we started roughly 5 years ago of upgrading the stretchers on all three of our first-run rescues. So this is the last one to purchase to have them all upgraded.
They're very uncomfortable.
I'm sorry.
I move passage.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item O, consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing the fire department to purchase 8 Motorola APX 6500 800 MHz mobile radios from Sunny Communications of Lakewood, Colorado. Is that correct? As a sole source purchase in the amount not to exceed $15,893.00.
So this item, as well as the previous item, are both in this year's capital budget, and this is to outfit the remaining fire apparatus and staff vehicles that we have in our fleet, just get them, our communications switched over to the Rhode Island Communications 800 megahertz system. Actually, we've used this company for quite a few years. They're refurbished radios, but I think I put in my memo, it's almost 50% of the cost of buying new radios, and they work absolutely perfect. I know the police did the same thing when they switched to 800, so this is the final 8 radios we need, and all the other radios we've already installed were actually done through grants, so this is done pretty well with the grants, and getting the radios upgraded.
Move passage.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item P, consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing a bid award for cafeteria equipment at multiple school building locations on behalf of the school department.
Good evening. We are here this evening to request permission for the council to award various.
State your name and address, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry,
That's
Melissa
okay.
Devine,
Just-
School Department Director of Finance. I'm sorry, I apologize. So we are requesting permission for various cafeteria equipment to be replaced at both the Gallagher Middle School and Smithfield High School. There was an RFP released and opened in January 18, 2024. The delay was due to some of the funding that we were holding off because RIDE was releasing Get the FOMO, which is part of the financial support here. And because of the delay in that award, we had to hold off on requesting an award. We reached back out to both of the companies. We had 2 proposals, one from Johnson Lancaster and Associates, and the other, the other was from Alternative Sales Corporation of New Hampshire. We reviewed the proposals. Both companies were in agreement to continue to honor their proposal as is. And we did a review. It was myself, Angelo, and Ryan Tweedy, the Director of Food Services for the school department, Chotwells, and we selected Johnson Lancaster and Associates for the award in total.
Is this all grant money?
So the majority of it, so there's a Healthy Meals Incentive Grant for $59.5 thousand, USDA Equipment Grant, $29.2 thousand. Both of those grants were secured by our Assistant Superintendent, Sarah Monaco. Then the foam out grant we applied for, that was the grant that was, we were waiting for from RIDE. It's to help reduce the amount of styrofoam in the landfill. That was awarded to us at the end of May. I'm glad we waited because they were very adamant saying that it could not be for any purchases prior to May. That would be $72,000. That's actually going to fund the dishwasher at the Gallagher Middle School. And then the balance will be from the nutrition fund balance, which is 203.5 thousand.
Yeah, what is the nutrition fund?
So it's an enterprise fund that runs the food service program at the school department, and right now it's carrying a balance. The USDA requires districts to review their fund balances there and not carry any more than 3 months' expenditures. However, during the pandemic, there was a significant amount of funding available, so a lot of school districts have built up some surpluses, which is good because a lot of school districts across the state, including Smithfield, have very old equipment in their schools that are not efficient.
So it's not taxpayer money?
It is not taxpayer money. It is, unless, most of it's coming from the food service program, which is self-operating.
Move passage.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item Q, consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing the town manager to enter into a contract through the Rhode Island Master Price Agreement number 416 with ATR Treehouse of Providence, Rhode Island, in the amount not to exceed $21,558.86 for the purchase and installation of audio equipment for the Boyle Athletic Complex on behalf of the school department, subject to approval by the Boyle Athletic Complex Subcommittee.
Good evening, Angela Mancucci, Smithfield Public Schools. As was just read, this is the sound system associated with the Boyle Field and would be located within the press box area. This is not like we forgot about the sound system. Originally, we had gone out to bid with an add-all for our press box. That had come in quite high. We chose to go out independently to reduce the overhead and profit of a subcontractor. During that time, we always knew and always kept in line a budget line item for the sound system. This is significantly lower than what was originally bid for with the original press box. And we have done work with this vendor before, within the town and within the school.
Is there a reason that we're getting this before the school committee this time?
The school committee has already awarded this at their last meeting.
It says they will be voting to approve this purchase at their July 22nd meeting.
We had our meeting, I think it was the 17th, I can check. But they did it under the Boyle review package we presented at our last meeting and has been approved. The only entity that needs to review this would be the Boyle Subcommittee.
Okay, so
which
that
is
was
this
just a typo.
Thursday.
Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Move passage.
Second.
Do we have any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing the release of $204,000.00 in fees in lieu of funding to Gemini Housing Authority for development of a low to moderate income housing project at the former William Windsor Elementary School.
Members of the board, Joseph Tadino, attorney for Gemini Housing Corporation.
Aye.
I know you have a packet there tonight. That was originally conceived as a family housing, and there was an addition that was going to be put on the school. However, we're looking at this as strictly elderly housing, so that we'd like to fit in all of the units in the existing building and keep the historical character of the building as is. So that's a little bit of a change there. We'd like to, obviously, we would like to apply for those in lieu of funds as part of the deposit and part of the working capital to get this going.
And additionally, too, I just want to add that was provided to the council this evening, an updated purchase and sales agreement based on the feedback from the prior meeting concerning the purchase and sales agreement at that point. And I don't know if Mr. Tadino or Mr. Galone would like to state what's changed, just to kind of update those updates.
Basically. Go ahead, Ethan.
I'll make your job easier. we basically made a few changes where one was the clarifying the restriction on the type of housing that was going to be constructed at this building, which is strictly elderly housing, one-bedroom units.
Correct.
As Mr. Tadino said, prior to this time, they were going to be family units. So there will be 42 elderly housing units constructed over here, which will be, it's a 100% affordable project, which will help the town meet its affordability goal. That much it'll count towards the 10% of the housing stock that we're basically required to meet at some point in a time in the future. But since this is 100% affordable, instead of a mixed-use type project with affordable units mixed in, we're going to be able to count all of these towards that 10% number, even though they're just strictly elderly housing. We also reduced the time within which the original agreement had a 975-day period within which the applicant is going to need to obtain their permits. We shortened the duration of that. The reason why they were looking for a lengthy, for that amount of time was due to the fact that they obtained their funding from different buckets of financing. And I think, Joe, you can explain that to the council too, and how it's dragged out over a period of time and the reasons why.
Well, I have Seth Sokoloff here from Barbara Sokoloff and Associates, who can testify to that.
Perfect.
Mr. President, council members. So the original intent was to allow for a number of funding cycles. Basically, the Rhode Island Housing LIHTC, or Low-Income Housing Tax Credit, funding cycle is annual. And sort of to get ahead in that game, you have to have all your ducks in a row. It usually comes out in December or January. And so if you don't make it to that in that first round, or you make it in that first round and don't get approved, you get another shot at bite at the apple. The way you have it set up now would allow us to go through at least one funding cycle and to obtain the financing. But often these projects take 2 or 3 funding cycles. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Are there any other funding sources that you are considering?
Yes, multiple funding sources, but most of them rely on what we call a consolidated application. So Rhode Island Housing, as well as the Department of Housing, provide the bulk of the funding for affordable housing in the state. And they are combined on that consolidated application now.
Have you explored all funding sources that are available in the Rhode Island Department of Housing? Because we've met with the Secretary of Housing, and he indicated that he would provide any assistance that we need in developing this kind of housing for Smithfield.
So they are a work in progress at the moment, developing their programs. There are no funding sources available at the moment. I do expect there to be a sort of a mid-cycle, a small round, late summer, early fall, but generally not enough to fund an entire project.
Mr. President, I have several questions that I said at the last meeting that I wanted to ask, that I get a chance to, if I can ask those questions. So I'm sure maybe multiple people would be able to answer that. So you did send us financial statements for '22. Do you have them for '23?
They're in the process.
Of doing them right, editing them right now? Okay, thank you. How many people are on the waiting list for senior housing at this time?
Right now, for the Greenville Manor, which we manage, there's about 204.
Okay.
Sorry, you need to state your name and address, I'm sorry.
Claire, 4 and 5 Garden Avenue.
Thank you.
How many of those are Smithfield residents?
Approximately 84.
How many of those, are they single? Are they raising children?
No, they would be all single.
All single.
Single or couples.
Oh, okay. Where they currently reside? Are they in single-family homes? Are they homeowners? Are they in condos, hotels, homeless?
Don't have that information.
Okay. So what is your, as was said at the last meeting, and I don't remember who said it, what is your process for ensuring that Smithfield residents get preferential treatment? And, you know, I was told that the same was to be the case for Georgiaville Village Green housing development, and that did not happen. Can you confirm if there is any truth to that?
So for the Georgeville Village Green, we do not give preference to Smithfield residents. It depends on where the funding comes from, whether you can give the preference to the Smithfield residents or not. I don't think that that's going to be the case. I don't believe we will be able to give preference to Smithfield residents.
Okay, thank you. Do you know what the rent you're going to be charging at this time, or would that fluctuate?
I don't know what that will be.
You don't know. And I was told that you would be pursuing funding for 202 supportive housing for the elderly. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So the program description states that it serves, and I quote, very low-income individuals, 62 years of age or older. However, in the proposal, it says that all units affordable to low and moderate income households. So obviously, there's a difference between those three things. So which one is it, I guess?
So we would be pursuing the HUD 202 housing, which
So-
is extremely low income.
If I may,
Sure.
the HUD 202 would not necessarily fund the entire project, and so you might just have a number of HUD 202 units in a larger project.
Okay, yes, you did mention that. Do you know the name? I'm sorry if you said it earlier. What is the name of the other funding source?
No, low-income housing tax credits are a major one, but we also have what was BHRI, which would probably be the bond funds that the legislature is approving, the 120 million. And Department of Housing has a few other programs as well.
Yeah, okay, so I didn't know that. When I asked, I was told that you would be pursuing 202. So I did not get a chance to research anything else, so I don't know the stipulations of any other funding. I did not do research on anything else. So, all right. So do you intend to seek funding for the intergenerational units for 202 supportive housing?
So, say that again?
Do you intend to seek?
Intergenerational.
Okay,
I think
yeah.
we're talking, go ahead.
So we would look for additional funding to support elderly housing.
So under the section 202, it says, you know, in 2022, Congress appropriated funds to support the creation of intergenerational dwelling units for elderly caregivers raising children. So that's part of what could be an option for section 202. So is that going to be part of the units?
And we're talking about one-bedroom units, from what I understand, so.
Right.
Right.
It would not be intergenerational
So
units
the
in this
maximum
project.
capacity for a one-bedroom unit would be 2 people.
Oh, so there is a limit on the number of people that can live in the, oh, okay, that's good. That was one of my other questions. Okay. All right. When are we going to get the other drawing for the one-bedroom units?
I
The
spoke with
schematic.
the architect today, and he is working on them.
He is, okay. And in the purchase and sales, it says 42 units, and then in the proposal, I have 45. So I would assume that the purchase and sales trumps, correct? There would be 42 units versus?
That would be correct.
Okay, thank you. That's what I figured. Okay. All right. Okay. You know, I thought the term elder, I guess now that I know that you're seeking other funding sources, I thought the term elderly housing and the purchase and sales was quite vague, but I guess it has to be since you're seeking other funding sources.
That's been changed.
Oh, I'm
to,
sorry. Oh, okay. All right. Where's that
That
now?
was just changed in the latest draft. It's,
Oh, all right.
It's referred to
age-restricted housing, yeah.
age-restricted
Age-restricted
housing rental units.
Oh, all right.
So perhaps you could tell us what that means, age-restricted. Is there a number, like an age?
So HUD has a number, but the town can make a number as well. If you want to say it's 55 and you approve something for 55, I think that can happen. That generally comes in with a comp plan review or something like that. So as of right, I don't think there's any restriction.
Okay. Is there anything you can tell me about the other funding sources, you know, the stipulations of, you know, who can be there and who is not? I mean, because I only know about this one right now.
So if you're concerned about the income levels, there's, in the last consolidated round, there were, I think, 8 or 9 different programs that were applied for, and some restricted the income to 80% of area median income. There was a couple that were in the middle range, like the 80 to 120, but most were 80 and below. And things score better when you're supporting more lower income folks as well.
Okay.
So if you say, you know, we're going to have 20% of our units dedicated to even lower income, the extremely low income, it helps the project get funded.
So you essentially,
That is the point, is getting the housing built.
so you essentially don't know what the configuration of the units and what they're going to be at this time? Okay, but they're all one bedroom?
Yes.
That's the plan.
Okay. Yeah, as I said before, you know, I understand you guys were somewhere last time, but I thought it was a real shame that, you know, this went through without getting my questions answered. So hopefully, you know, we can work something out that doesn't happen in the future. I really think that was a disservice to the residents. I'm not saying I would have said no, but just saying. I think that's pretty much it right now. The historical characteristics, so what does all mean? Do you have a list of what that is? Does the Historical Preservation Commission have a list of what those items look like so that we know that those will stay?
The architect is going to meet with the historical
Oh, great.
commission. Yeah.
Excellent.
To make sure that that is all taken care of.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much.
Two of the other changes too, in the sales agreement is they have a 120-day due diligence period. They'll do their engineering or feasibility studies to see if the project actually works. After that 120 days and they commit to the project, their deposit is becomes non-refundable, and which in essence, we're releasing tax credit money to them. We would get it back. And we also, the due diligence period is 120 days. They're responsible for the carrying costs after the due diligence period. So we have costs that we're incurring for utilities and insurance. They've agreed to cover those costs as they proceed with this project. It's going to take so long because of these multiple funding cycles. One other question I had on the funding cycles. I know Rhode Island Housing, you missed your eligibility for this year. Do all of these buckets of financing that you're getting, do all of the cycles mirror each other, or are they all at different times throughout the course of a year?
So the point of the consolidated application was to do it all at once,
Okay.
but there are other ones that happen. There's a funding cycle through the Federal Home Loan Bank, which is due in the middle of July. Like I said, Rhode Island Housing is planning to have what they call a mini round in late summer, early fall. So most of it is concentrated so that you can get all your funding at once. Because otherwise, you usually had people waiting and wanting to be the last in and see if you got your other money, that kind of stuff. So we're getting closer to a more efficient system.
Perfect.
So just like the 202 is a specific population, adults over 62. I'm sorry, I don't know if you already said this. I don't think you did because I didn't ask. The other funding sources, are they specific populations such as people with disabilities or people, you know, anything like that they require?
Some of them are specific to people with disabilities or the extremely low income or homeless even, but most of the sources are not.
Okay, so, all right. So are the people on your list all in-state people or are there out-of-state people on your list as well?
There are some out-of-state people.
Oh, okay. Do you know how many, like the percentage, if you had to guess?
So I could guess there's probably 10%.
Okay.
But maybe their kids are here, or maybe they grew
Right,
up
and
here and want to come back.
that's what happens.
You know.
Okay, and just to confirm what you said earlier, there's no guarantee that Smithfield residents will get preferential treatment, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Is that, can you do that in any housing?
I don't know. I was told yes at the last meeting, so it's good to have you here to tell me otherwise. Okay, I probably am forgetting something, but for now, thank you for answering my questions. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Attorney Galone, I think the other thing we wanted to mention is that we did add in, if any further extensions, we would have to come back and give a progress report to the town council at that point.
Right, so we shortened the due diligence period, not the due diligence period, but the permitting process to 240 days. And then they'd have to come back and give us progress reports, and we'd have to agree to an extension.
We'd have more specific plans, obviously, at that time, so.
That's great.
Yeah, I think that what was voted on at the last town council meeting was definitely not in the best interest of the town to have this 2.5 to 3 year period of time where the building was just sitting there. So I think this is a much better agreement with 1 year, and then, if extensions are needed, we sit down and we work that out, and we see, how much, and how much, why it's needed, and satisfy ourselves to that. And also that the carrying costs are borne by the developer. And, I'd like to thank the town solicitor, Anthony Galone, and you, Mr. Didino, for working so hard to get this to the point where this is a really good, much better purchase and sale agreement that protects the residents of the town.
Thank you. Obviously, we'd like to have the funding yesterday, but that's not the case.
Right.
Do you happen to know what your current balance is? Because I don't have the 2023 financial statements. If you don't, it's fine, but
No, I don't.
any ballpark figure? What's in your bank account? I know the proper term, I'm not an accountant, so.
Well, you know that.
I have it right here. I don't know which number I'm supposed to be looking at.
Gemini audit is part of the Smithfield Housing Authority audit, so it's pretty combined. So just for Gemini, the balance is approximately $200,000.
200,000, oh. Is that the money you get from rent?
Gemini gets their funding from management fees,
Okay.
from managing Georgeville Village Green and McIntosh Estates.
What organization gets the money for the rent? Is that the housing authority?
The housing authority.
Oh, I see.
does.
Okay. And again, just to clarify, all the funding sources you're seeking have a limit on the number of individuals, or no? In a unit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not sure why the question about current finances was in mind, but I would like to say that to get one of these financed, you have to maintain a certain level of liquidity. So you can't just spend all your money. We're talking about a many millions of dollars project.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Move passage.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on to S. Consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing a construction and maintenance agreement with the Rhode Island Department of Transportation for wall stabilization at Greenville Cemetery number 45.
Thank you, Council President. This has been a long time coming, this agreement and the actual discussions and work with DOT to make this happen. This is the cemetery that's across from the old Greenville Inn that you can see on the right side of Smith Avenue, that we have the sidewalk closed off. So this agreement will require DOT to complete all the necessary work to shore up the wall with a new wall in front of it, making it designed in a like manner to what's existing, maintaining the crypt door to be able to be opened, And from that point forward, the sidewalk and the wall would be handed over to the town for the future. So they will do a, so to say, a one-time fix, which is expected to be a long-term fix, and keep the residents and the passersby safe and get that sidewalk back open. They will also be altering the sidewalk to allow for all those things to happen, but it'll be safe, ADA compliant, and so forth. But this agreement will allow us to get that done.
Thank you. It says construction and maintenance agreement. Who's going to be responsible for the maintenance?
We will be. And the construction part of it is we'll be responsible after it's handed back over. So if the wall goes in 20 years.
This is a one-shot
Correct.
thing that you got the state to agree to.
Correct. And it's been fully engineered and evaluated, and this is the best approach that they came up with keeping the historic aspect of the wall safe, the crypt door safe, as well as, maintaining the aesthetics of it.
And this is also
And also because of the bodies being, there is actual body remnants up along the wall, so they would never be able to remove it and rebuild the wall without significant cost that is in the ballpark.
The stones are falling off right now. It's a safety hazard right now.
Correct. Well, there is one that it was on the ground. We've been monitoring it thanks to the DPW and their consultant. We've been monitoring it, and it's, I think, one small section moved a fraction of an inch. So we've been lucky, even with the winters. We've been keeping an eye on it, but before it becomes something worse, we need to get it done.
Move passage.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item T, consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing a short-term extension of the existing Veolia water service contract.
Thank you so much, Council President. So this item, it has to do with the RFP that was awarded to Veolia Water. It's been a long battle, not a battle, but a long challenge of getting the long-term agreement finalized. We're getting to see, we're at that 5-yard line right now. We just need this additional extension for the time being, and our plan is to come back at the August meeting with the final contract to be approved by the council.
Move passage.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing the ratification of the proposed collective bargaining agreement between the town of Smithfield and local union 1217 of the Laborers International Union of North America, AFL-CIO.
Thank you, Council President. So this item before the council deals with our LEUNA members, our Laborers International members, which include our Public Works, Parks and Recreation, police, civilians, and town hall employees across all facets of the town's operation. This is we have a great working relationship with them. There was a very good amicable negotiating sessions over the last month and a half, and reaching a financial feasibility. You can definitely tell the voice isn't completely back yet. The financial feasible options for the town, staying within our constraints of the approved budget, seeing in fiscal year 25, $86,000 increase in 2026, $68,000 increase, and in 2027, the larger increase of $119,277, really resulting because of the fluctuation in the retirement system, and the rates going up at that point shows the larger fluctuation to really affect that, where in the earlier years it was going down. So it was definitely something that was amicable to both groups, and definitely helping our lowest paid employees be marketable and be able to retain them and actually hire for these positions, which have been very, very difficult.
Randy, would you be able to speak to what you previously told us as far as the items in here are not set in stone? There is some flexibility to whether or not we actually want to follow these items?
Yeah, thank you, Councilwoman. There is one item. It really has to do with the adding a clause to allow the town manager to consider implementing a 4-day or a 4.5-day work week in the months of July and August. The first time that this would actually be considered would be for next July, which would work collaboratively with the members of the town hall and a representative from each department to sit down in either January or February to see what would work best for the departments based on the activity they see in July and August, and see what's the best approach for the residents. This just gives the flexibility. It doesn't mean that we're going to do it, but at least that way it's written in the contract and allows that to be able to happen.
Thank you.
No problem.
Move passage.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item V, consider, discuss, and act upon changing the August 13th town council meeting.
Would it make sense to do it the August 6th meeting? That way it's before, it's earlier.
I'm out the 6th and the 13th. Sorry.
dare you.
I'll be away. But you can still have it. That's fine by me, but the majority, I don't know what
Oh,
Sean
okay.
wants to do.
You don't know what he wants
I
to do?
don't, I didn't talk to
Okay.
him. But it's your call. If it's more convenient, it's fine. You can run it.
Make a motion, we schedule for the 20th.
He doesn't want me running it, so. I'd second that.
Any discussion on that? Is that okay for you? You make it?
Yeah, I guess I can make it,
Okay, all right, so can I. All right, the 20th it is. All those in favor?
Aye.
W, consider, discuss, and act upon a bid award for senior center parking lot repairs. No one.
Is someone handling this? Is Carlos, is that why you're here, or? Okay, well, I would assume somebody would have represented, but I'd be more than happy to talk about it then, I guess. So this item was the last piece that had to do with our CDBG grant to really beautify and improve our senior center, which has been aging. Not like the people inside, because they don't. But this item will help secure and make more ADA compliant the actual most important place to have ADA compliance, as well as not having the speed bumps and holes and everything in the roadway at the center. And this is being fully funded by the grant. And if you haven't had the chance to see the beautiful new roof, that was also paid for by this grant. So I'm recommending to the council to consider moving forward with the recommendation.
And this is through a grant, correct?
Yes, it's through the CDBG grant, a combination between our grant writer and Mike Phillips helped to obtain.
Motion to approve to award the RFP for the parking lot repairs at the senior center to Cassisi to construction.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item X, consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing a second amendment to the memorandum of agreement with Bryant University. Sorry about that.
No problem. Thank you, Council President. So as we've discussed at a prior meeting, and also that's probably out in the world, we have reached a tentative agreement with Bryant University, which was a great thing for both parties. So at this time, we're just finalizing the actual legal language to the agreement and the aspects that both parties see fit, and to be able to bring that back at the August 20th meeting now. We're asking for the extension to actually, I just want to make sure what date I had on here to begin with. Oh, we had August 31st just to cover us, because I didn't know what day we were going to go with for the next meeting. But this way, if we go to August 31st, we're definitely covered anyways. But it's also set to be the early of the two, whether or not it's the August 31st or the August 20th at that point.
Thank you. Good work on that.
I think it's taken a long time just to get the language when, the numbers are already known, but
Based on the conversations, we're just about there. So it's just, I didn't want to overly rush the date to get it for tonight. My concern, because I told them the deadline was to get it finalized by last Wednesday. And my concern was that we didn't want something to get missed. So it's really a combination between our time and their time, because I think it's going to be one minor tweak that they're going to come back with. So we're just about there.
appreciate that.
Plus, it makes the time fit to get my reimbursement for the fireworks.
Perfect.
Move passage.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item Y, consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing a bid award for financial audit services for fiscal year 2024.
Hello, Caitlin Shania, Finance Director. We went out to bid on June 21st. Again, we didn't get what we needed, what we had anticipated the last bid. So we went out on June 21st, and we chose CLA, which is Clifton Larson Allen LLP, as the lowest bidder, and their qualifications and excellent experience in the field is why we chose them.
Excellent, thank you.
Additionally, just one piece to add on. Thank you, Caitlin. We are suggesting at the same time to remove the library audits from this recommendation because of the absorbent costs that they're trying to charge for the two small nonprofits. So we will be putting together, and also time is not as of the essence as getting ours and the school started. It's bad enough the price that it rose. Unfortunately, there's not as many government finance auditors out there. So unfortunately, that's going to bump the price up. But we'll be seeking some smaller firms to consider doing the library audits, potentially getting that RFP before the council in the August meeting. And then we'll be able to move forward with that following that. But this is at least so we can keep our timeline, because there is requirements at deadline dates to get us a draft and so forth. So this would be the only way that we could do it, is peeling those out. And the other firm that for some reason didn't even bother to include the cost of it, and when we asked to have it removed, they said we have to do those audits. Yes. So that's why we're suggesting going with CLA.
Move passage.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank
Public comment, if anyone wants to come up and speak, just leave your name and address, and no one wants to do public comment, all right?
Motion to adjourn.
Do you have a second to adjourn?
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.